The National Marine Week is often marked every year during the second week of October. Now, the aim is to create awareness on the marine coastal environment, among others. So, for some, exploring the magnificent seas can be anxiety-inducing, but for this next guest, it's the thrill that gives her life. Freediving instructor and founder of the Black Mermaid, Zandile Ndhlovu, joins us live now. Zandile, you know, when I was speaking to some of my colleagues and we're talking about Marine Week, and I'm saying, you know, this particular guest, if you go see what she does, you are going to actually understand how she loves exploring. But they were saying for them that is anxiety-inducing. And I wonder for you, how do you do it?
It's such an interesting thing how I think we have a collective fear of the ocean, because the ocean is big and it's daunting and it has big life like sharks and whales, but it's also the most beautiful place I know. And I can tell you, anybody who looks beneath the surface is taken. We just need to do the work of moving through our own fears.
And I wonder though, because you're talking about sharks, I'm not sure. How are you even under the sea with the sharks and you come back and you're okay? You're not anxious at all?
Do you know what I love about this moment? It's trying to tell us that we are not natural, we're not any shark's food. We are not. So when sharks see us, they don't see food. Yes, they might make a mistake, but I can tell you, we are not the preferred diet. And so often when we dive with sharks, we have an opportunity to bridge and change that narrative, because sharks are, yes, they are wild, but they are also very gentle.
No, Zandile, wait. I need you to explain that to me. You say they are wild and gentle and we're not their diet, but wait, how does that work?
So yes, they might not have the best vision. So if you have to think of like the shark attacks that we might have 5 shark attacks in a year, but I cannot tell you how many times sharks are swimming between the people all the rest of the time. We are not the preferred diet. And so even when anything happens, it's not due to the fact that a shark ate anybody to death. It never works that way. It's often just a matter of someone bled to death. But generally, sharks are not into us. They're not about us, and they don't enjoy humans. We're not it.
You know, I'm trying to reconcile what you're saying with the reality, but also watching you do your thing in some of the visuals that we are playing here on the show. And one wonders, because you spend a lot of time, I don't know anyone who spends this much time underneath the sea like you do. You spend a lot of time there, and there's a lot of work that you continue to do. Would you say that what you are finding there is healthy?
I would say that in South Africa, we're very lucky. Our oceans are beautiful. Our oceans are not as damaged as some of the places that I've seen in the rest of the world. I think the one thing that is always a challenge is when we come across plastic on our dives. We find plastic everywhere. We find fishing line around turtles, around seals, around corals. And I think that for me is my biggest fear when it comes to the protection of our oceans and working to educate people about how we can do better in protecting our oceans. But I think that's we as South Africa have not seen as much damage as some of the coral reefs in the world.
And I wonder though, because, you know, sometimes we see children also not understanding, you know, the marine life and all of that. And it's something that you have begun doing. And I wonder how does that unfold when it comes to these young people and the connection that they then are able to make with what they see when they see the ocean?
100%. So in the Black Mermaid Foundation, our work is to create access to the ocean space that allows children to be able to be future guardians of our oceans, so that they are able to use their voices to advocate for ocean protection. But you cannot work to protect something you've never seen, something that you feel doesn't belong to you, and something that feels foreign to you. So our work is to build that connection, build that bridge. And as we build that bridge, we change narratives. And another thing that makes children amazing is that when you teach children, they go home to their parents and they make the parents decide to create change in their homes. No, mom, we're not buying plastic. No, mom, we shouldn't be doing this. And children are amazing in that way, in that they bring a change in the whole loop in the world, which is amazing. And please excuse my sweating. I am in Madagascar and it's so hot, it is crazy.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. We understand. I'm asked to go back to this particular point because you talk about, what is happening under the sea, and also the children and the education. But let's educate our viewers, because you say that we are not the staple diet of the sharks. I am wondering, and maybe the viewers are wondering. So because you say they swim among people, what do we do then if we come across them and we're swimming? Because the first instinct is to run.
And what runs everywhere in the world? Only prey runs. Any animal, when it sees panic, so if you think of the water, when we panic, we immediately start hitting the water. We try and get out as quickly as we can. But that pitter-patter on the surface, that tells the shark that, oh, there's a dying animal on the surface. Oh, I should go and investigate. Something is weak and running, and that could be prey. And that works everywhere. You could look at a dog. A dog will chase you if you start running. And so when you see a shark, the first thing is to stay calm. And if you can, turn and face the shark. So if you're going to make your exit out the water, you exit facing the shark. The idea of running with your back to any animal is never a good idea, especially in the water. So first things first, calm down. Second thing, no, don't hit the water. When you hit the water, you tell the shark that there's food on the surface. Don't do that. And then if you can, turn around and face, and then move backwards. But generally, I cannot tell you how many times when I fly in to PE, to Cape Town, to all of these beautiful places, and you just see the sharks swimming through the people, and people are having fun. And it's just such a beautiful story. And I wish we could tell more of that story, that more often than not, there are sharks in the water with us, but sharks aren't into us. And so they're just looking for their own food. They're looking for fish. They're looking for smaller sharks. They're not looking for us.
Zandile, I feel like you need to come back from Madagascar and actually get me to understand, how do I stay calm when I'm facing a shark? I must turn and face the shark. I think you need to give me some lessons on how to be able to even do that.
Mamela, I must say, you learn to calm yourself. Anytime when you come across any set of wildlife, you are the threat as the human. Wherever you find yourself, if you can't manage yourself, you are a danger in the situation. So even when I started diving, the first time you see a shark, you're like, whoa. And then you realize when you're calm, everything else around you is calm. So I think the first thing is how do we manage our own panic? And sharks aren't these beasts that are blood hungry. They are beautiful wildlife. I mean, when you look at Gansbaai, we have a problem with orcas. Orcas have come into the space and they are attacking our white shark population, and it is horrible to see. And so we have two ends, right? We have human challenges and we've got nature's challenges. And these orcas are attacking our sharks, they're killing our sharks, and they are ridding our waters of white sharks. The problem is this: the white sharks help to keep a balanced ecosystem in the ocean. You need to have a balanced ecosystem in the ocean. The big one eats the smaller one, everybody has to be a part of that. If we take out our apex predator, we have a problem. That's number one. But number two, when you think of how many communities are dependent on tourism for survival, it just tells you how the value of any wildlife alive is so much greater than that animal dead. And so when you look at these communities and you engage and you see the jobs that are created, the education, the international tourism, you can only be so grateful that we have the wildlife that we do. Just like we have the big five on land, we have a big five in the ocean, and the world comes to see it here in South Africa.
Wow, that is quite an interesting way to end off. When you come back, you owe me that dive so that I can learn how to stay calm. But thank you so much for your time. And please go cool off in the ocean there. As you say, it's scorching hot there in Madagascar. Thank you so much, Zandi. That is freediving instructor and founder of the Black Mermaid, Zandile Ndhlovu.